Is it an SUV or maybe a minivan? It's the Hyundai IONIQ 9, and I assure you it's more than just a restyled Kia EV9, even if these revolving seats look familiar. Let's check it out. This episode is brought to you by 3W Liners. Keep your car interior clean with perfectly fitting OEM compliant mats, which are also eco-friendly and odorless. I have a set of 3W liners in my car and enjoy how winter mud and grit stays on them and how easy they are to clean. They come with OEM mounts or adapters and everything stays in place. Get a set of 3W liners for your car, check out the link in the video description and use my code to get a discount. In my opinion, it's a minivan. The Kia EV9 looks like an SUV, but the IONIQ 9, despite being higher, probably just above the driver's seat, doesn't look like an SUV, thanks to the sloping roofline. I like the flared fenders and the vertical taillights. Those squares at the front between the headlights don't illuminate. It's strange because they're begging to be seen. Digital wing mirrors are an option, but as I found in my review of the IONIQ 6, they're mostly a gimmick. The IONIQ 9 is 506 centimeters long, 198 centimeters wide, and 179 centimeters tall at its highest point. The wheelbase is a whopping 313 centimeters. While I'm back here, I'll start with the boot, which offers between 338 and 2014-19 liters of cargo space, depending on the configuration of the car and the cabin. This is the 6-seater version with swivel captain's chairs in the second row, but you can also order a version with power seats and extendable footrests, or simply a 7-seater with a 3-seat bench in the second row. Now, I don't recommend this one, the 3-seater bench, because then accessing the third row requires folding the rear seat. Here I can just slide between the seats in the second row, which is much more convenient. Just when you're sliding between those seats, be careful about your head because, well, the IONIQ 9 really has a sloping roofline. It's worth mentioning that there are 2 ISOFIX anchor points in the second row and in the third row, but for some reason Hyundai and Kia don't want to add one on the front passenger seat. However, each passenger in the car has access to their own 100-watt USB-C port. Tablets and laptops will charge just fine. There's also a 230-volt socket in the boot delivering 3.6 kilowatts. The same can be achieved with an adapter that plugs into the external charging socket. The boot is approximately 130 centimeters wide and 40 centimeters to the window line, while the depth is approximately 55 centimeters to the third row backrest, approximately 125 centimeters to the second row backrest, and approximately 240 centimeters to the first row backrest. If you need more precise measurements, I recommend taking a tape measure to the dealership and moving all the seats yourself, as there may be a few extra centimeters somewhere. However, due to the aforementioned sloping roofline, keep in mind that boot opening height is only 74 centimeters. The width is 105 centimeters. Now, my bike will fit, but yours? I don't know. There's also a small frunk, perfect for a charging cable and a repair kit. An adult sitting in a third row will have to ask the second row passengers to move forward a little bit, but even then, people in the second row still have plenty of legroom and headroom. Second row passengers have access to the center console from the top and through this drawer down here. Now, the console slides back and forth, but for safety reasons, only people sitting in the front can move it. The second row seats can be heated and ventilated. Third zone climate control is standard regardless of the trim level. Up front we have some physical and touch buttons as well as 2 displays. The climate control panel is too low. I prefer Kia's solution. Below are USB ports and a shelf with a UV light for disinfecting whatever needs disinfecting. It's a gadget for journalists to have something to talk about. Further down is a difficult-to-access storage compartment. I can't imagine reaching into it while driving. The glove box is small. The storage compartment under the armrest is medium-sized, but it can be expanded, giving you access to the drawer, which also the rear passengers can rummage in. The cup holders are good. Next to them are buttons and switches related to driving modes and 360 camera, as well as the parking sensors. The wireless charger barely has enough power to charge your phone more than Android Auto draws from it, but it gets very warm. Some ventilation underneath would be helpful. A few words about the infotainment system. The most important part of the menu is the driver assistance system settings, where I recommend you switch off driver attention warning. Since the air conditioning panel is quite low, every time you want to put on the seat warmer or the steering wheel warmer, the system will beep at you. It'll also beep at you if you look too long in the rearview mirrors. Also, if you plan frequent road trips in the IONIQ 9, learn where the EV menu is, because in this EV menu is a battery preconditioning button, which speeds up charging, DC charging, assuming the charger is fast enough. More on charging in a moment. There are 2 configurable buttons here, one on the steering wheel, which I assigned to the safety systems, driver aids, and I've assigned the other one to the EV menu. But you can assign it to anything else, like for example the intercom to comfortably talk to the passengers in the rear, although in my opinion there is no need for it. The intercom, I mean. You don't need the intercom because the IONIQ 9 has active noise cancelling, so even when driving fast on the motorway, it's relatively quiet inside the cabin. I took the IONIQ 9 on a 500-kilometer road trip, so I can tell you a bit more about energy consumption and charging. The IONIQ 9 has a 110 kilowatt-hour battery. That's 10 kilowatt-hours more than the Kia EV9. The car can be ordered with rear-wheel drive or all-wheel drive. The latter is available in standard or performance trims. The biggest price jump is from rear-wheel drive to all-wheel drive. The performance model is only available in the highest trim anyway, so the additional 122 horsepower costs just about €2,000 and 6 kilometers of range. On paper, because 435 horsepower under the right foot usually increases real-world energy consumption. This is the all-wheel drive model with 313 horsepower. Promised 0 to 100 km per hour time is 6.7 seconds. I managed to achieve 6.4 seconds, both in sport and normal modes. Regardless of the trim level, the IONIQ 9 has a claimed range of around 600 kilometers. In good weather, you can get even more out of it around the city, as I've seen figures below 20 kWh per 100 kilometers, even in December. On the highway, with outside temperatures below 10 degrees Celsius, you should expect at least 30 kWh per 100 kilometers, unless you plan to drive the entire trip at 100 km per hour on cruise control. Given that at a fast charger we typically charge the battery between 10 and 80%, expect to make stops at least every 300 kilometers. But don't be fooled by Hyundai semantics. The specification provides DC charging time using a 350 kilowatt charger. This isn't the same as peak charging up to 350 kilowatts. Maximum charging power is approximately 210 kilowatts, the same as in the Kia EV9. With a preconditioned battery, I saw about 210 kilowatts peak on a 400 kilowatt charger. This makes road tripping an EV much more viable, assuming Hyundai sat-nav is up to date. While charging at a 400 kilowatt DC hub, the OEM navigation showed me some 50 kilowatt chargers nearby. Perhaps instead of boasting about the now obligatory AI nonsense in its press release, Hyundai should first focus on human intelligence to provide us up-to-date maps. It's a novel idea, I know, but, you're welcome. Other than that, no drama. A pleasant, comfortable journey, large boot. Okay, the adaptive cruise control isn't the best, and while you can disable the speed limit beeper, for some reason you can't get rid of the notifications every time the speed limit changes. You can only disable the traffic sign recognition altogether, which in my opinion is pointless. An interesting feature, if you haven't disabled traffic sign recognition, is a system that displays your average speed in areas covered by average speed cameras. Very useful, and it's the first time I see this feature. Visibility is average, and you have to be especially careful at intersections because the A-pillars are massive. Of course, there's a 360 camera and those little cameras that are displayed on the instrument binnacle when you turn on the indicators, but I still would take good visibility over cameras and sensors. The IONIQ 9 is slightly larger than the Kia EV9, which I said handles like a car that is a size smaller, but those extra few centimeters make the IONIQ 9 difficult to maneuver. This one would really benefit from rear-wheel steering. And as it's an all-wheel drive car, I'll perform my diagonal approach test. I stop halfway up this incline with wheels on the diagonal with limited traction, and then I try to get going again. This time it was dry and the ground was frozen, so the car performed similarly in all modes. I tried normal mode with ESP off, sport mode, snow mode, mud mode, and sand mode. Before you find yourself in a sticky situation, it's best you try how these modes work in a controlled environment. The IONIQ 9 has 174 mm of ground clearance. If you're feeling particularly bored, Hyundai is happy to sell you digital services like gear shift simulator and display themes. Fortunately, you can also use the app to monitor charging progress or turn on the car's heating. And that's free. Price of the Hyundai IONIQ 9 start at €68,500. This test car is the top all-wheel drive long-range model. With options, it costs €87,100. The Hyundai IONIQ 9 is a very pleasant car both in the city and on the highway. The only negative are the beeping noises, which I should be allowed to turn off with a single button, but unfortunately I have to click through the menu every time I start the car. Other than that, I have nothing to complain about. And how about you? What do you like or dislike about the IONIQ 9? Are you considering buying an EV people carrier like this one? Or maybe you want an SUV? Let me know in the comment section below. If you like my sarcastic, down-to-earth and possibly mildly amusing car reviews, join me every Friday at 3 p.m. Central European Time, and don't forget to subscribe and like this video as it helps me with the YouTube algorithm. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next one.